The bones fell on the shrine floor and told a story of greed disguised as love. Mama Chioma knelt before the dibia, the spiritual diviner, her hands trembling as she pressed money into the old woman's palm. Not just money, everything. Her savings, her jewelry, the gold earrings her late husband had given her. Can you do it? Mama Chioma whispered. Can you make sure they both die? The dibia threw the bones again. Cowrie shells clattered against clay. Animal bones arranged themselves into patterns that seemed to shift in the candlelight. The old woman studied them with eyes that had seen 1,000 desperate mothers come with 1,000 desperate prayers. It will be done, the dibia finally said. By the new moon, both girls will be gone. The oracle has spoken. Your daughter will be the only child. All the love, all the attention, all the resources, everything will belong to Chioma alone. Mama Chioma had smiled then, imagining her daughter, beautiful Chioma, finally getting the life she deserved. No more sharing their father's affection with those twins. No more watching him praise them, hug them, call them his precious daughters. Chioma would be the only one, the favorite, the beloved. But the oracle, it seemed, had never learned that some bonds are too strong to break. That was 6 months ago. Now, standing in her kitchen as the sun bled red over Yamun's village, Mama Chioma was beginning to understand that someone, or something, was determined to make her pay for what she'd done. Nkechi and Ngozi were 12 years old when their mother died. It happened quickly, a brief illness that the village doctor couldn't explain and the traditional healers couldn't cure. One week their mother was laughing in the kitchen, singing as she cooked. The next week she was in bed, her body burning with fever that no medicine could touch. By the third week, she was gone. Their father had wept for 3 days straight. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't look at the twins without seeing his wife's face reflected in theirs. The same gentle eyes, the same quick smile, the same way of tilting their heads when they were thinking. The village elders had told him, a man cannot raise daughters alone. A household needs a woman's hand. So 6 months after their mother's funeral, their father married Mama Chioma. She had seemed kind at first. She brought gifts for the twins, new wrappers, hair beads, sweet biscuits from the market. She smiled at them, stroked their hair, called them my daughters in front of their father. But the twins knew. They always knew. Because identical twins share more than just a face. They share something deeper, a knowing, an instinct, a connection that exists in the space between heartbeats. When one felt uneasy, the other felt it too. When one sensed danger, the other's skin would prickle with the same warning. And from the very first day Mama Chioma moved into their house, both twins felt it. Something is wrong here. Do you feel it? Ngozi had whispered to Nkechi that first night, as they lay on their sleeping mat in the small room they shared. Yes, Nkechi had whispered back. She doesn't like us. She pretends. I know. They held hands in the darkness, the way they'd done since they were babies, and tried not to be afraid. But fear, like poison, has a way of seeping in. 2 months after the marriage, Mama Chioma's daughter arrived. Chioma was 15, tall and beautiful, with skin like polished mahogany and eyes that held secrets. She wore clothes from the city, bright, expensive fabrics that made the village girls stare with envy. She moved with the confidence of someone who'd always been told she was special, important, destined for great things. Their father welcomed her with open arms. My new daughter, he'd said, embracing Chioma warmly. Welcome to our home. You are family now. And just like that, everything changed. Suddenly, there wasn't enough food at dinner. The twins' portions grew smaller, while Chioma's plate overflowed. Their father would pile meat and fish on a Chioma's plate, while Nkechi and Ngozi watched with empty stomachs. Growing girls need to eat, Mama Chioma would say, serving her daughter more rice. My Chioma is studying so hard. She needs her strength. The twins said nothing. They'd learned that speaking up only made things worse. Their father started spending more time with Chioma. He would ask about her day, her friends, her dreams. He would laugh at her jokes and nod seriously at her opinions. When she spoke, he listened with full attention. But when Nkechi or Ngozi tried to tell him about their day at school, he would say, not now. I'm tired. When they asked for help with their homework, he would say, ask your mother. When they wanted to sit with him on the veranda like they used to, he would say, Papa needs to rest. Mama Chioma had succeeded in making him forget he had other daughters. Or worse, making him not care. The abuse started small. Mama Chioma would send the twins to fetch water from the distant stream instead of the closer well. She would give them the hardest chores, scrubbing the entire compound on their hands and knees, washing mountains of clothes by hand, cooking meals for the whole family while Chioma sat and watched. "You must learn to work," Mama Chioma would say. "Lazy girls make bad wives." But Chioma never had to work. Chioma was studying. Chioma was resting. Chioma was too delicate for such rough tasks. The twins endured it. They had each other. That was enough. But then Mama Chioma's cruelty turned darker. She started hitting them for small mistakes. A pot not cleaned properly, slap. A shirt not ironed perfectly, slap. Talking too loud, walking too slow, looking at her the wrong way, slap, slap, slap. She did it when their father wasn't home. And she made sure never to leave marks where he could see. "If you tell your father," she would hiss, her face close to theirs, "I will make your lives so miserable you'll wish you'd never been born. Do you understand?" The twins understood. They stopped trying to tell their father anything. He wouldn't believe them anyway. He was too busy doting on Chioma, too blind to see what was happening in his own house. At night, Nkechi and Ngozi would curl up together on their sleeping mat, holding each other, whispering reassurances. "We just have to survive until we're older," Ngozi would say. "Then we can leave," Nkechi would add. "We'll get jobs in the city. We'll have our own house. Just the two of us. Forever." They made these plans every night. These two 12-year-old girls who didn't know that forever was about to be torn apart. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. The kind of ordinary day that should have stayed ordinary. The kind of day that should have ended with the twins doing their homework together, sharing whispered jokes, falling asleep holding hands like they always did. Instead, it became the day that split their lives into before and after. Nkechi had gone out to play with some village children. She'd hesitated, not wanting to leave Ngozi alone, but her sister had insisted. "Go," Ngozi had said, smiling. "You love football. Go play. I'll be fine here." "Are you sure?" "Yes. Go. I'll see you when you get back." So Nkechi had run off to join the game in the village square, her heart light, her mind free for just a little while. She didn't know it would be the last time she'd see her sister alive. Back at the house, Ngozi was studying in their room when her stomach growled. She was so hungry. They hadn't eaten breakfast. Mama Chioma said there wasn't enough food, though somehow Chioma had eaten a full meal. Lunch wouldn't be ready for hours. Ngozi wandered into the kitchen, hoping to find a piece of yam or some leftover beans. Mama Chioma was there, stirring a pot of jollof rice. The smell made Ngozi's mouth water. "Hungry?" Mama Chioma asked, and there was something in her voice, something almost kind, something that should have been a warning but wasn't. "Yes, Ma," Ngozi said quietly. "Come sit. I'll make you a plate." Ngozi hesitated. Mama Chioma never fed them outside of regular meals, never gave them extra food, never showed them kindness without a reason. But she was so hungry, and the rice smelled so good. And maybe, just maybe, Mama Chioma was finally being nice. She sat. Mama Chioma filled a plate, more food than Ngozi usually got in a whole day. Rice piled high, pieces of chicken, fried plantains. It looked like a feast. "Eat," Mama Chioma said, placing the plate in front of her. "You're a growing girl. You need your strength." Ngozi picked up her spoon. The rice was still hot, steam rising from it. Her stomach clenched with hunger. She should have waited for Nkechi. They always ate together, always shared everything. That was their rule, their bond, their protection. But Nkechi wasn't there. And Ngozi was so hungry. She took a bite. The rice was delicious. Better than anything Mama Chioma had ever made for them. Ngozi ate quickly, shoveling food into her mouth, barely chewing, just trying to fill the emptiness in her belly. Mama Chioma watched her with a small smile. "Good?" she asked. "Yes, Ma," Ngozi said between mouthfuls. "Thank you, Ma. Eat it all. Don't waste a single grain." Ngozi obeyed. She ate every last bite, scraping the plate clean, even licking her fingers because the sauce was so good. When she finished, she looked up at Mama Chioma and smiled. "Thank you." Mama Chioma smiled back, but her eyes were cold, empty. "You're welcome, child." The pain started 20 minutes later. Ngozi was back in her room, returning to her schoolwork, when her stomach cramped. Not the normal kind of cramp, something violent, something wrong. It felt like her insides were being twisted by invisible hands. She doubled over, gasping. "Mama," she called out. "Mama, something's wrong." But Mama Chioma didn't come. The pain got worse. Ngozi's vision blurred. Her mouth filled with saliva and something bitter, something that tasted like metal and death. She tried to stand, tried to get to the door, but her legs wouldn't hold her. She collapsed on the floor, her body convulsing. "Nkechi," she whispered. But her sister wasn't there. Nkechi was playing football in the village square, laughing with friends, completely unaware that her other half was dying alone in their room. Foam appeared at the corners of Ngozi's mouth. Her body arched and spasmed. Her eyes rolled back, showing only whites. And in those final moments, as the poison raced through her veins and her 12-year-old heart began to fail, Ngozi understood. The food, the kindness, the full plate when there was never enough. Mama Chioma had poisoned her, and she was going to die. No, something inside her screamed. "No, I can't leave Nkechi alone. She won't survive without me. Mama Chioma will kill her next. I have to protect her. I have to." But her body was shutting down. Her lungs couldn't pull air. Her heart was stuttering, missing beats, slowing. "Nkechi," she thought desperately. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I ate without you. I'm sorry I'm leaving you. I'm sorry I'm darkness." But not the peaceful kind. The kind that holds you between worlds, refusing to let you cross over, keeping you suspended in the space between breathing and not breathing, between being and unbeing. Ngozi's body died. But something else, something fierce and loving and absolutely unwilling to let go, remained. Nkechi ran home as the sun began to set, her cheeks flushed from running, her heart light from playing. She burst into their room, ready to tell Ngozi all about the game, about how she'd scored 2 goals, about how. She stopped. Ngozi was lying on the floor, not sleeping, not resting, lying in a way that bodies shouldn't lie, twisted, wrong. Her eyes were open but not seeing. Her mouth was open but not breathing. There was foam dried on her chin and a pool of vomit beside her. "Ngozi." Nkechi's voice was small, childlike, confused. She walked closer, knelt down, reached out, and touched her sister's hand. It was cold, cold in a way that living flesh never is. Cold like stone, cold like death. "Ngozi." Louder now, desperate. She shook her sister's shoulder. "Nothing." She slapped her cheek gently. Then harder. "Nothing." "Ngozi." A scream that tore through the house like a knife. Their father came running. Mama Chioma came too, her face arranged in an expression of shock that didn't quite reach her eyes. "What happened?" their father shouted, dropping to his knees beside the body of his daughter. "I don't know." Nkechi was crying, her words tumbling out in a rush. "I came home, and she was like this. I don't know what happened. Papa, why won't she wake up? Make her wake up. Please make her wake up." Their father checked for a pulse. His hand trembled as he pressed his fingers to Ngozi's neck. His face went pale. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no. Papa." Nkechi's voice was breaking. "Papa, what's wrong with her?" He pulled Nkechi into his arms, turning her face away from the body. "Don't look, my daughter. Don't look." "Why? Papa, why?" "She's gone, Nkechi. Your sister is gone." The world stopped. Everything stopped. The only sound in the room was Nkechi's screaming, a sound that didn't seem human, a sound that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than her throat, somewhere in her soul where she and Ngozi had been connected since before birth. She screamed until her voice broke. And in that moment, something terrible and beautiful happened. In the space between worlds where Ngozi's spirit floated, suspended and confused, she heard her sister's scream. And she made a choice. She couldn't leave. She wouldn't leave. Not while Mama Chioma was still in that house. Not while Nkechi was still in danger. So she stayed. They buried Ngozi 3 days later. The village said it was a sudden illness. A fever that came on too quick for anyone to treat. A tragedy, they said. So young. So sad. But these things happen. The gods take whom they will. No one suspected poison. Why would they? Mama Chioma played the grieving stepmother perfectly, crying at the funeral, holding Chioma close, whispering prayers for the poor dead child. Only Nkechi knew better. She didn't know how she knew. She had no proof, no evidence. But somewhere deep in her soul, in the place where she and Ngozi had always been connected, she felt the truth. Mama Chioma killed her. She tried to tell her father, but he wouldn't listen. "Nkechi, stop this," he said, his voice heavy with grief and exhaustion. "Your stepmother loved Ngozi. We all did. This was an act of God. A terrible accident. You must accept it. But Papa, enough, he snapped. I have lost one daughter. I will not lose another to madness and false accusations. Do you understand? Nkechi understood. She was alone now. Alone with a father who couldn't see the danger. Alone with a stepmother who had murdered her sister. Alone with a stepsister who watched her with cold, calculating eyes. Alone in a house that had become a trap. At the funeral, as they lowered Ngozi's body into the ground, Nkechi felt something. A presence. Warm. Familiar. Loving. She looked around, but there was no one there except the mourners. Yet she could feel it. Feel her. As clearly as she'd ever felt anything. Ngozi. No answer. But the warmth remained, wrapping around Nkechi like invisible arms, like a promise. I'm still here. I never left. And I won't let her hurt you. 2 weeks after the funeral, Mama Chioma tried again. She prepared another meal, this time soup, thick with vegetables and meat, aromatic with spices. She called Nkechi to the kitchen. Come, child. You haven't been eating. You must keep your strength up. Nkechi sat at the table, staring at the bowl of soup. It looked delicious. It smelled perfect. But something in her chest, something that felt like Ngozi's hand pressed against her heart, screamed, Don't eat it. I'm not hungry, Nkechi said quietly. Mama Chioma's eye twitched. You need to eat. I said I'm not hungry. I'm not asking, child. I'm telling you. Eat the soup. Nkechi reached for the spoon. Her hand trembled. The warning in her chest grew stronger, more insistent. Don't. She lifted the spoon to her lips. And then, something happened. Her hand jerked violently to the side, as if someone had grabbed it and pulled. The spoon flew from her fingers, clattering to the floor. The bowl tipped, spilling soup across the table. What are you doing? Mama Chioma shrieked. I don't know. My hand just. You clumsy, stupid girl. Mama Chioma grabbed a rag and began cleaning up the spill, her face twisted with rage. But Nkechi saw something else in her stepmother's eyes. Fear. Because Mama Chioma had felt it too. That invisible force. That presence that had knocked the spoon from Nkechi's hand with strength that a 12-year-old girl didn't possess. Something was protecting Nkechi, and Mama Chioma was beginning to understand what. The possessions started small. Nkechi would be doing her chores and suddenly lose time. One moment she was sweeping the compound. The next moment, an hour had passed, and she was standing in a completely different part of the village with no memory of how she got there. It was terrifying at first, but then people started telling her things. Thank you for the message, Mama Adaba said one day at the market. About my daughter. How did you know what she said before she died? Only her and I were in that room. I don't know what you're talking about, Nkechi stammered. You came to my house last night. You told me she forgave me, that she wanted me to stop crying, that she was at peace. Mama Adaba's eyes filled with tears. You gave me peace, child. Thank you. Nkechi had no memory of going to Mama Adaba's house. No memory of speaking those words. But somewhere inside her, she understood. Ngozi was using her body to say goodbye to people. To deliver messages that needed to be delivered. To finish business that death had left undone. It should have been horrifying, the idea of her dead sister inhabiting her body, speaking through her mouth, moving her limbs like a puppet. But it wasn't, because Nkechi could feel Ngozi's love in every moment. Could feel her sister's presence not as an invasion, but as protection, as companionship, as the refusal to let death separate them. I'm still with you, the possessions seemed to say. I'll always be with you. And Nkechi, lonely and afraid in that house of cruelty, took comfort in that. As the months passed, the village began to talk. Have you seen Nkechi? The women would whisper at the market. That girl is not right. She walks around with her eyes all strange. Sometimes she speaks in voices that don't sound like hers. I saw her at the stream last week, another woman said. She was staring at the water, talking to herself. Or talking to someone we couldn't see. They say she's been possessed by her dead twin. They say she goes to different villages at night and speaks prophecies. They say she's either blessed or cursed, and no one knows which. Mama Chioma heard these rumors, and her blood ran cold. Because she understood now. Understood what she'd done. She'd killed one twin, but she hadn't destroyed their bond. If anything, she'd made it stronger. Death had not separated them. Death had only changed the nature of their connection. And now Ngozi, dead Ngozi, ghost Ngozi, vengeful Ngozi, was protecting her sister from beyond the grave. Mama Chioma tried everything. She sent Nkechi to the dangerous stream during rainy season, hoping she'd slip and drown. But when Nkechi's foot slipped on the wet rocks, she somehow caught herself with impossible balance, her body moving in ways that seemed guided by invisible hands. She sent Nkechi to collect firewood from the forest at dusk, hoping wild animals would attack. But when a snake slithered across Nkechi's path, the girl stepped aside a moment before it struck, as if warned by a voice only she could hear. She put poison in Nkechi's food again and again, but every time, something would happen. The food would spill, or Nkechi would suddenly lose her appetite, or her hand would jerk and knock the plate away. Every attempt failed. Every trap was avoided. Every danger was turned aside by a force that Mama Chioma couldn't see but could definitely feel. She was fighting a ghost, and she was losing. 6 months after Ngozi's death, Mama Chioma reached her breaking point. She went to the shrine again, but this time not to the Dibia. This time to something darker, something older, something that lived in the space between prayers and curses. She brought a goat, young, healthy, unblemished. The kind of sacrifice that demanded results. "I need you to bring her back," she told the oracle through the Dibia. "I need you to pull her to this village. I need her here, in front of me, so I can finish what I started." The ritual took all night. The goat's screams echoed through the darkness. Blood soaked into the earth. Words and languages that predated the village itself were spoken. And when dawn broke, the oracle gave its answer. "It will be done. The girl will come. But know this, the dead protect her. If you kill her, the price will be your own life." "I don't care," Mama Chioma said. "I just want her dead." 2 days later, Nkechi woke in the middle of the night feeling strange. Not herself. Not in control. Her body stood without her permission. Her legs moved without her direction. Her feet carried her out of the house, into the darkness, onto the path that led away from the village. "No," she tried to say. "What's happening? Where am I going?" But her mouth wouldn't open. Her voice wouldn't work. She was a passenger in her own body. And then she felt it. Felt her, stronger than ever before. "Ngozi." "Yes, sister. Don't be afraid. I'm taking you somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" "From her. She's made a sacrifice. She's called you back to kill you. But I won't let that happen. I'm taking you to someone who can help us. Trust me." And Nkechi, 12 years old and terrified, did the only thing she could do. She surrendered to her sister's will and let Ngozi guide her through the night. Her body ran for hours, through forests and across streams, past villages and through farmland, moving with speed and endurance that a 12-year-old shouldn't possess. People who saw her would talk about it for years. The girl with the white eyes, moving through the darkness like she was being chased by demons, or like she was chasing something herself. By dawn, Nkechi found herself standing in front of a compound she'd never seen before. An old man emerged from the largest building. He looked at her with eyes that seemed to see through skin and bone, straight into the soul. "Welcome," he said simply. "Your sister brought you here. Come inside. We have work to do." The old man's name was Dibia Okoye, and he was what the village called a walker between worlds, someone who could see and speak to both the living and the dead. He sat Nkechi down in a room that smelled of herbs and ancient knowledge. "Your sister has been protecting you," he said gently, "holding on to you from the other side. But this cannot continue forever. She needs to rest, and you need to be fully yourself again. I don't want her to leave," Nkechi whispered, tears streaming down her face. "She's all I have left. She will never truly leave. The bond between twins is eternal. But she cannot continue to inhabit your body. It's keeping her from crossing over completely, and it's slowly draining your life force." "I don't care. But she does." The old man smiled sadly. "Your sister loves you enough to let you go. Now you must love her enough to do the same." As if summoned by those words, Ngozi appeared, not as a vision or a dream, but solid and real, standing in the doorway of the room, looking exactly as she had the day she died. "Ngozi." Nkechi ran to her, and for the first time since the funeral, she could touch her sister, could hold her, could feel her warmth and solid presence. They clung to each other, two 12-year-old girls who had been ripped apart and were finally, temporarily, whole again. "I'm sorry," Nkechi sobbed. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. If I hadn't gone to play football, if I had been home with you, if we had eaten together like we always do." "Shhhh," Ngozi whispered, stroking her sister's hair. "It's not your fault. It was never your fault. She would have found a way eventually. At least this way, you survived. That's all that matters to me. I don't want you to go. I know. But I have to. This, she gestured to her solid form. This isn't natural. I'm supposed to cross over. I'm supposed to rest. But I couldn't leave you alone with her. I had to make sure you were safe first. And now I'm safe? Now you're safe. Ngozi smiled. The Dibia will help you. He'll give you protection that will last forever. Anyone who tries to hurt you will face consequences they can't imagine. You'll be safe. And I'll be free. Will I ever see you again? When your time comes, many years from now, I'll be waiting. I promise. The Dibia gave Nkechi a bowl of medicine, thick and dark, smelling of earth and things that grew in hidden places. Drink, he said. This will separate your spirits. Gently, peacefully, like untangling two threads that have been wound together too tightly. Nkechi drank. It tasted like goodbye. When she finished, the Dibia took her hand and led her outside. Behind my compound, he said, there is a path. It exists between this world and the next. You must walk it alone. You must walk it without looking back. No matter what you hear. No matter how much you want to turn around. You must walk forward. Can you do that? Nkechi looked at Ngozi one last time. Her sister smiled and nodded encouragingly. I can do it, Nkechi said. The path appeared before her. Not quite solid, not quite mist, something in between. She stepped onto it. Behind her, she could feel Ngozi following. Could hear her sister's footsteps. Could hear her voice, speaking words of love and encouragement. I'm proud of you, Nkechi. You're so brave. So strong. Live your life for both of us. Be happy. Be free. Promise me. I promise, Nkechi whispered, tears streaming down her face, but her feet still moving forward. Still not looking back. I love you, sister. I love you too. Forever. Forever. And then, silence. The presence behind her faded. The footsteps stopped. The warmth that had accompanied her for 6 months finally lifted. Nkechi was alone, but not empty, because she could still feel Ngozi in her heart, in her memory, in the part of her soul that had been formed in the same womb, at the same moment, from the same divine spark. She walked until the path ended, and when she opened her eyes, she was standing on a road she recognized, the road that led back to her village, back to home, back to Mama Chioma. It was evening when Nkechi walked into her family's compound. Mama Chioma was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. She looked older than Nkechi remembered, worn down, anxious, like someone who hadn't slept well in months. She was muttering to herself as she stirred a pot. Should be dead by now. The oracle promised. Brought the goat. Did everything right. Where is she? Why isn't she dead? She didn't hear Nkechi approach. Didn't sense her presence until the girl was standing in the doorway, backlit by the setting sun, looking like a ghost herself. Mama Chioma turned. Their eyes met. For 1 heartbeat, 2 heartbeats, 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. And then Mama Chioma's face changed. The color drained from her skin. Her eyes went wide, so wide they looked like they might fall out of her head. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. No, she whispered. No, no, no. You're supposed to be dead. The oracle promised. I sacrificed the goat. I did everything right. Why won't you die? Because my sister won't let me, Nkechi said quietly. Mama Chioma's hands started trembling. Then her arms. Then her whole body, shaking like she was being torn apart from the inside. She's dead, Mama Chioma shrieked. I killed her. I watched her die. She's dead. She died, Nkechi agreed. But she didn't leave. She stayed to protect me. And now, Nkechi stepped forward, and Mama Chioma stumbled backward in terror. Now I'm protected forever. Anyone who tries to hurt me will die. That's what the Dibia said. That's what my sister made sure of. No, Mama Chioma was crying now, tears and snot running down her face. No, I just wanted my daughter to be the only one. I just wanted him to love only her. I didn't mean to. You poisoned my sister, Nkechi said, her voice steady even though her heart was breaking. You fed her poison and watched her die. You tried to kill me too, over and over, just so your daughter could be the favorite. Mama Chioma collapsed to her knees, her hands clasped in desperate prayer. Please, she begged. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Please forgive me. But Nkechi didn't answer. She just turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving her stepmother kneeling in her own guilt and terror. Behind her, she heard Mama Chioma begin to scream.